we talked to the mayor a number of years ago about corporations and stuff.
Well, for example, you used to pay, when you paid council tax online, it used to be to torbay.gov.co or whatever .uk, it used to be. And now it's corporate systems.
You can't pay cash.
You can't pay cash anymore? Yeah, that's true.
You can't pay cash because, well, if they were to accept cash for it, it would be
Fraud?
Yeah, I think it would. If you're giving it on a credit sort of slip saying yes, you can have this money, it's like you're creating the money that they take from you, because they can't, it's your signature that creates that money. So if they can do it without, if they can do it all electronically without, it doesn't appear fraudulent because you appear to be giving your consent to be doing it.
Well, that's, I
Whereas
mean, the
with
idea of
cash-
getting everybody
with
online
With
is,
cash, they're actually taking it from you. I think that's the case.
And they have to account for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they would argue that it's difficult keeping cash because you might get robbed and all that sort of stuff. It's much better to have it as electronic money, and that's the argument the way it goes. But if in theory, if you went to a place that was asking you for money with the cash, they should accept it. I think there's somewhere in the dim distant past there is that situation. You can't suddenly make a rule up, for example, that you're not going to accept cash anymore. Where did that come from? Who made that decision?
Yeah, but can they?
Probably the one.
Can't they make rules up? That's what they do.
Probably the 151
They're
officer.
legislators, and they say what law is, so they can.
They've got the money. They can do. It's their money anyway. It's not ours, is it? We're using their money. That's one of the problems with it. It's private money.
Part of
So
the
they can make the private laws as to what the rules as to what happens with their private money.
Part of the duty of the 151 officer is to ensure that the council doesn't break the law when it spends its money. That's part of his duty. So if he saw that accepting cash would be breaking the law, then he could stop it happening, couldn't he? Just by banning it. What do you mean?
I don't know.
That's come from higher. That's come from higher above, isn't it? He just gets the.
I mean, that's a policy.
He gets he'll get the MP who's been directed to go and sort the problems out with the councils, or just update them on what's going on. Have a chat to the mayor,
I think
come down and have a picture in the paper, make sure everybody knows what they're on, what they're doing.
What they're on.
Exactly. Yes.
If the problem is, if you start the base level for them or for the system is fraud. So once you can't go below that. Fraud starts right from the roots. So it's.
I'd like to put something on the record that happened during the last election, the general election that went on last year, where we went to the hustings and the mayor came and spoke directly to us, and he told us that quite emphatically and 3 or 4 times that he was not responsible for any of the planning in Torbay. Which kind of, if the mayor's not responsible,
yes, why do we elect a person who has got no responsibility?
If the mayor's not responsible for the planning, then
who is?
The councillors aren't responsible because the mayor is one of the councillors. So he's the top councillor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the head of the team.
Yeah. So so who's doing the planning? Where's the planning coming from?
From the executive.
Nor will I accept from you or anybody else public criticism of officers who are employed here to do a job in a lawyer.
Well, if you think that they are pleading absolute poverty and saying that austerity must be implemented in the Bay and that there are going to be cuts left, right and centre, and yet how much is sitting in what they refer to as unusable reserves.
But where do you get the impression that there are this
Well,
kind
you
of
know,
this
you
kind of
require-
money?
you
This is
require-
research
you
that's
think
been
there's a
done by
treasury?
other people in other areas, with councils that are running the same systems that ours are. And basically what they've done is that they've asked the right questions, they've got hold of the accounts and had them analysed, and when it comes down to the minutiae of the accounting, you have these things that are known as unusable reserves or unusable accounts, or they use a few different terms for them. But basically it's a bunch of money that's been salted away. And in the cases that have been looked at so far, these funds have been used for all kinds of unconstitutional purposes.
What's happened?
We're not sure they're on Wall Street at the moment, are we? Or being,
Well,
bandied about,
Yeah.
We
They've
don't
invested
know.
the money.
Yeah.
They've invested money that's been given to them from people, and they've made money on that investment, and that's the money they've made on the investment
Yeah.
is kind of the one that's
Being salted
spirited
away. So that's why we have to approach 151 officers in all of the councils right across the island and ask them some pretty searching questions about unusable monies the council's holding.
A full statement of accounting.
A full statement of accounting will be very nice.
Yes.
Statement of accounts. This is what I've asked for.
That's right.
And of course it's worth
I mean,
mentioning that the 151 officer's position is a fiduciary position.
Yeah. Of course.
So he has to act in our best interests. If he doesn't, he's being dishonourable and is committing fraud. Malfeasance in public office. And the list could probably go on. So that's going to be quite a wake-up call for all these accountants sat in rooms thinking they've got a cushy job for life and a pension, when they realise that they're all looking at, is it 7 years minimum for fraud?
So it's a misuse of public money.
Misappropriation.
Yeah, and one of the Linda Lewis case is one example of that, which is about this lady that she took her child to Florida to get the child to see a specialist, and Rhonda, I think it was, the council flew a couple of people over and grabbed the baby and brought it back to Wales.
Kidnapped the child.
Yeah.
Yes.
And John
With the help
Hurst,
of
John
the
Hurst
American,
believes that is one of these sort of cases that could be fought for
It's certainly something that
against
could
the
go.
Section 151 officer who said that was all right to do that.
Yes, because they funded it,
Yeah, they funded it.
and that's funding, and that's funding unlawful activity,
Yeah. So that's child abduction, and the other one
That's a
is
thundering nuisance, isn't it?
isn't it?
and the other one is to do with Robert Greene, of course, and Ailey Chandellini, and the slush fund that's meant to be helping people out.
Well, they have admitted that there is one.
Taxpayers paying for private.
Private
prosecutions.
Yes.
That's the way. Thank you very much. God, that was good. That was hard.
And now they've decided that this dubious character, Eilish Angelini,
Oh yeah.
is appropriate to put in charge of looking into deaths in police custody.
In the Metropolitan Police.
So
It's just unbelievable. You couldn't write it.
you couldn't make this up. You couldn't.
It's promotion, you see. I mean, if you do the right, if you follow the,
And another
The
example
lies
used to
to every
be
level and
what's
the-
her name, Lynn Homer. You know,
Oh.
they made her a Dane with failure. She's a Dane.
Well, she's obviously done the job
So I mean,
that she was sent to do.
So someone's allowing Satanism on ships, on their ships, and they're promoting people who fail miserably to great heights.
the peerage.
Peerage, the Lords.
To what end?
And it's just absolutely unbelievable that somebody who fails in everything that they do could possibly be elevated for doing that. But that's the truth of the matter.
Well, it depends who's making bets on stuff.
Help! So it comes to the blackmail, the idea of blackmail or whatever it is that pushes people up and up and up. Yeah. I just
Oh.
What do you think, Table?
yeah, I think we need. What's happening in here?
I think there's a big floating picture of somebody who died at 69.
Oh my God.
Which one would that be?
Yeah, it's like a kind of foreboding thing to reach now, isn't it?
Who's it,
Jesus Christ.